thank you all so much this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming through. It's Proclamation News and Gavin's PNG Flux with the daily news. It could be broadsheet, it could be tabloid. We're going to see how the show runs. Flux with the news, Flux with the show, Flux with the radio, Castbox and YouTube. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 15th of September 2020. It's 9:31. Thank you all for coming through this evening. It's a bit of a late one. Later than usual. We start all different times of day. People coming through, people coming listening all over the globe, trying to find out what's going on in the Brexit debate with the EU, international law, the WTO, isn't it? Oh my goodness, it's all going on. Tony Blair, Tony Blair and John Major's putting their two pence worth in. Both of them, oh my goodness. John Major made a complete mess up didn't he, in recent years. Tony Blair, somewhat a fascist, you could argue the case. Um, he's probably, I mean, people knock the BLM and say they're absolute fascist, extremist kind of people, but no, I don't. I know I see things in a big white picture. We've all got our own political views on different things. Um, with Tony Blair's case, we can all say he started a war with Iraq and Iran, and then, so I've got a small technical issue on my cast box. We can all say, yeah, he started a war with Iraq, Iran, and then he fled the country after started the war, which is not standing united with our country. Don't start a war, which is complete fascism as well against them countries, and then flee a country. Did you hear about if we go with the EU treaty, what happens? What happens to the meat produce? You with Donald Trump, we'll be eating American food. It's they pump chlorine into their meat, into their food. Do we really want to be feeding that to our children? Do you want to be feeding that to our children if we go through the EU treaty? They're making amendments, as we know, to Article 51. I don't know what's going to be going through. I don't know what's going to happen. Really don't know what's going to happen. Really don't know if Boris should have just said no to the whole lot, screwed up the bloody, pardon my language. Obviously, it's not child friendly anyway, so I ain't got to worry too much. But I'll keep my P's and Q's limited as we're trying to do a prominent cast with a prominent man, supposedly anyway. But yeah, I don't know if he just should have said no deals to everything and just everyone might have dropped their guns and give all their treaties up and we'd have, come out with our own ideas. But who knows? You never know what Boyce got up his sleeve. He might pull something out. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. It's early days. We still got till December, I believe. Still got till December, but they was writing up something, swapping the Article 51 over today. So I don't quite know what's going on. John Major, Milband, absolutely scrutinised Parliament being a complete imbecile, I believe. But again, that's my opinion. We've all got our own opinions in politics, and I don't want to be narcissistic on my point of view to put everyone off coming in, because everyone's got their own point of view. Everyone's got their own political party they follow. I want people to enjoy my cast rather than me be fully narcissistic towards, well, the flow of politics that I lean towards. I can lean to the left, I can lean to the right, I'll sit in the centre, whatever I like. But yeah, I think a lot of you know my political taste by now, coming in daily, rightly coming in. Thank you all for coming in. It means a lot. It gives me something to do. I've been tackling a lot of debates on social media. I write notes. I'm pretty educated in what I know. I could sit here reading notes, but then I'm not reading my own initiative off my mind. I could say people are acting a bit fascist, acting a bit extremist for their actions, but we can all say that about anyone's political point of view, if you like, to a certain extent, if you got a good point of view. I was arguing about the BLM. I was calling someone what they was trying to discriminate against, not actually acknowledging what I was getting at. He's breaching an ASBO order, the way he's discriminating the conclusion that I was trying to get to. But people don't acknowledge their actions, what they're doing it against, what they're doing it for. And that's when you can come a cropper, when you get into a political argument. You've got to know your philosophy. You've got to know your ins and outs. But anyway, thanks for coming in, guys. Really appreciate it. Where should we go? Where should we start? We've got a lot of UK politics involvement, as always. Flux with a show. Here we go. Do more for God than we did yesterday. I don't know how long we can keep this going for today, but firstly, I'd like to say if you can share it with your friends, I want to multiply and I want more people to come in and subscribe on my Castbox and my YouTube. Obviously, I've been sharing my YouTube on Facebook. Um, Not getting as many listeners as I'd like to. I think a lot of these radio presenters they pay for their subscriptions, which I know you can do. I haven't got the funds. Hoping one day someone give me the time of day and realise I've got a quite amicable show. A lot of people can come in and debate. They can, I think, they can write messages. I can see them on the side 'cause it's live, so I can always answer your query within politics. If you've got something to ask. Anyway, here we go. What are your thoughts on Sir Keir Starmer? Is he following Tony Blair's footsteps? Is that a good idea? Tony Blair did do some good things, not all good things. Not staying united with his country after starting a war is one thing. Coronavirus. Families mingling would be breaking rule of six, Home Secretary. I mean, would you start a war then flee with your family? Don't start a war if you can't back it up at the end of the day. You can't expect everyone else to fight your battles and not be standing there proud to be in the Britain and be in Britain. Why do you want to start a war with Iraq, Iran anyway? Families stopping to talk in the street would be in breach of Rule 6 restrictions, the Home Secretary has said. So, people have been trying to argue the case. People that like social gatherings, it doesn't bother me. I don't know if it bothers you. Oh, kids are going to schools, sports centres are open, but we can't go in groups of six around people's houses. Well, it controls policing of narcotics, alcohol abuse, parties. Less policing, less work for the police. It's a good idea. Police deserve the time of day. They've got the whole world in their hands to keep safe, and this is a good idea. It's a great idea. Priti Patel told the BBC that two families of four stopping for a chat on the way home to the park was absolutely mingling. She said she would report her neighbours if they broke the rules. The rules restrict indoor and outdoor gatherings in England and Scotland and groups in Wales. The new measures mean police can break up groups larger than six with fines up to £3,200 if people flout the rules. Speaking to BBC Radio 4's Today programme, Miss Patel said two families of four stopping for chat on the way to the park was absolutely mingling. You have to put this in the context of coronavirus and keeping distance, wear a mask, she said. I mean, when you go shopping, you keep your mask in your pocket, you take your mask in your bag. I mean, I'm politically correct. I'm exempt from wearing a mask. I do take it when I remember. I mean, I have forgot a couple of times, and I'm trying to give good guidance myself. So try not to forget. You should take your mask, and if asked, just be polite. Say, if you forgot it by mistake, so I forgot it, but you want me to go and get it. Be polite about it. Don't have to be rational or abusive. Rule 6 is about making sure that people are being consciousness about not putting other people's health at risk. I mean, with me and my situation, I know the security guards at Tesco, you go to school them, so they know my situation, what happened in 2000. So they let me off a little bit, and I always apologise. Home Secretary added, mingling is people coming together. That is my definition of mingling. When asked if she'd call the police on their neighbours if they breached the new coronavirus rules, Miss Patel told BBC Breakfast, I don't spend my time looking at people's gardens. Pressed further on topic, she said anybody would want to take responsibility to help to stop the spread of the virus. Adding that if she saw gatherings of more than six, clearly I would report that. Miss Patel's comments echo those made by Policing Minister Kit Malthouse, who suggested that people should bring the non-emergency number 101 if they had concerns that people were breaching the law. The trouble is, police got a lot on their plate. Would they turn up? Maybe a day later when it's all over. It comes as a national chairman of the Police Federation of England and Wales, called for guidance over enforcement of the measures. Speaking to Good Morning Britain, John Apter said the police officers on the front line were trying to interpret the rules and were being accused of asking people to snitch on their neighbours. He added, maybe we should have guidance because we haven't had any yet. Government guidelines include exemptions from physical activities that can be done in groups of more than six, such as football, hockey and netball, as well as sailing, angling and polo. Shooting, including hunting and paintball that requires a shotgun or firearms certificate license, is also exempt as an organised sport. Earlier, Ms Patel defended the government's record on testing, following widespread reports on people struggling to get swabbed. I've got news about this swab thing as well straight after. She told BBC Breakfast the government was surging capacity where it is needed. Clearly, there's much more work that needs to be undertaken with public health England and actual public health bodies in those particular local areas. As a government, obviously, we work with Public Health England to surge where there is demand in local hotspot areas. Health Secretary Matt Hancock has said the system is facing an enormous challenge after sharp rise in people seeking tests. He said it would take a matter of weeks to resolve problems. When you become a presenter, you have to check the media left, right, and centre, not just what's put in front of me. Read it all over. I mean, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. Search different reviews with people's, especially the COVID thing. I've got a great idea with the swab test. But the swab test is not in front of me. It's what I remember, but what I was reading earlier. I mean, the swab test is not 100% correct in England, but in Italy, you go to Italy, fly to Italy from Gatwick Airport, Stansted Airport, any Southend Airport, Glasgow Airport, fly to Italy. As soon as you land there, you take one. 30 minutes later, it comes back if you're COVID or not. Then you're allowed to leave the Italian airport. It says if we were COVID or you got COVID, and then you have to quarantine. So how can Italy's government fund such a demanding thing, and we're struggling to get it funded? They're saying it's going to cost three-quarters of the NHS spendings for the year to get this put through. Can we match it? That's exactly what Boris is trying to do. Boris knows what's going on. Boris is in the know-how. He's trying to get that through so we can have the same sort of thing coming on over here. Removing graffiti will boost confidence in railway, says Chaps. I believe so as well, actually. A happy sight is a tidy sight. You've got a messy front room, people don't want to come in and wipe their feet on the way out. So, yeah, Chaps is absolutely politically correct in what he says. I mean, obviously, Chaps is in sort of my sector where I'd like to be. I was doing, I'm not obviously not as academic. Well, I don't know what his academics are. You don't know what if half of these politicians got it, but he's a transport secretary, and that's what I was trying to do on the roads. Giving people road congestion, that sort of thing. And he does it. He's pretty big in the railway industry, so you can't mock him. You can't mock a man with a good plan, and you can't be hatred of their plan either. Rail bosses have been told to do more to crack down on graffiti on the UK's network as a way of encouraging more people to start using trains again. I mean, I remember, I'm one of those people that don't forget the sayings: think first, think safety. Do not enter your vehicle under sleep deprivation and narcotics abuse and the influence of alcohol. Check your centre and wing mirrors before acting, turning, and stay sufficient directional choice. Make sure there's no motorbikes or cyclists overtaking. But I could go, I know all that speech, which I remember. If you like listening about a year ago, nothing goes past these ears. I do not have an empty, I do not have an empty mind. Put it that way. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said maintaining stations to a high standard help boost passengers' confidence at the deter of more serious crimes. He said Network Rail must respond to complaints more quickly and use all tools and innovations available. I must admit, It's a mood setter, isn't it? It's a mood setter to criminals. Got a tidy. You walk it, you walk into Westminster and your mood set changes because it's tidy, it's clean, it's professionalism. You wouldn't see a load of thugs hanging outside, although we have some protests go wrong. But I mean, you wouldn't see a load of thugs just hanging out around there for trouble. It's a nice built-up city area, Westminster. Same as same as like Chelsea, a place like Chelsea as well. Quite nice areas. Although on a football season match, yeah, that's when trouble lies. Network Wales said it was committed to tackling what a huge problem was a huge problem. The firm, which maintains 20 miles of track as well as 20 of the UK's largest stations, said it's spending 3.5 million a year on widening the county's rail infrastructure, an unauthorised imaginary. It said the pandemic has not caused an increase in graffiti, with cases down about 70% over the past 5 months. Ministers are encouraging people to return to offices where it is safe to do so, and the numbers of trains running in England, Wales, and Scotland has returned to approximately 9% of pre-lockdown levels. I mean, they're very business orientated as well. Trains and buses, a lot of them got Wi-Fi now as well. Buses especially. I'm not sure about trains so much, but buses in London, but yeah, especially. I think something like 75% of buses in London. However, passengers' numbers are struggling to recover after lockdown caused the biggest drop in daily rail usage for 25 years, with many leading employers telling staff they can continue to work from home. Mrs. Shapp said keeping the network clean was an important factor in encouraging passengers to return in greater numbers, and the prevalence of graffiti remained a concern. Worthy of pride, he has written to Andrew Haynes, the chief executive of Network Rail, to urge the firm to do more to remove marking from station buildings, bridges and other infrastructure. I want us as a nation, Mr. Shep says, particularly we continue our focus on improving and developing a national infrastructure as we recover from COVID-19, to feel proud of our rail infrastructure and public spaces by ensuring that they are maintained to a high standard, he said. The blight of graffiti, however, can have an impact on the confidence of passengers as they return to safety using the railway, and on the wider public view of national infrastructure and public transport. He said the onus should not be passengers to have the report to cases to ensure graffiti was swiftly removed. Preventation. We can look at the preventation. Preventation, in addition to its annual 3.5 million anti-graffiti budget, Network Wales spent 1 million on specific projects in April and May. Mr. Shapps is the MP of the constituency of Hatfield, Hertfordshire. I was there this time last year. Mr. Shapps said this was a step in the right direction, but a long-term plan was needed to ensure the railways remained worthy of pride, and operators used the latest technology to combat vandalism and antisocial acts. Given the link between illegal trespassing and cases of graffiti, he also urged Network Rail to work with the train operating companies and British Transport Police to harden network to unlawful incursions. Network Rail said it was committed to remove all the offensive graffiti within 24 hours of being told about it, identifying offenders and working with youth organisations to warn people of the dangers of trespassing. Other measures being included in anti-graffiti paints and allowing plants and trees to grow over surfaces that were continually defaced. It said there has been 324 cases between the start of April and the middle of September, covering the period of the UK-wide lockdown and its aftermath, compared with 389 over the same period last year. Graffiti is a huge problem on our network, but it is limited to railway, Mr. Haynes has said. We are committed to tackling the problems that graffiti creates by investing money into prevention programs and looking at ways we can use technology to help us in the battle. Passenger watchdog transport focused that graffiti costs real money to clean up, and Any moves to banish it even further are to be welcomed. Britain railways have become fairly graffiti free in recent years. Let's keep it that way, said the chief executive, Anthony Smith. Thank you so much, guys, for giving me some acknowledgement tonight. I really appreciate it. You guys on Castbox, you guys on YouTube, I really appreciate giving me a bit of time of day. You know what? In a time of silence, as you can imagine, of silence on my own. They say you can't beat a bit of mindfulness. I look at the ceilings, thinking, what can I do next? But there you go, talking to yourself, going crazy. PMQs, Angela Rayner to face Boris Johnson for the first time. Angela Rayner, she wasn't looking forward to it. Well, she was, but yeah, I don't think she can do too well. Labour Deputy Leader Angela Rayner will face Boris Johnson at Prime Minister's question for the first time on Wednesday. Mr. Rayner is standing in for Sir Keir Starmer, who is self-isolating after a member of his family developed coronavirus symptoms. I offer him best wishes, even though he's not my side of the table. Best wishes to Sir Keir Starmer's family. She was leading member of Jeremy Corbyn's shadow cabinet before being elected deputy leader in April. I mean, if you listen to some of my statements, you could say I'm fascist to what, the way I can say they're fascist to the way they think, but you know what? I might have a bit of a joke. It's just politics. Politics is like a football match, isn't it? You try and root for the position that you look for, that you support. Simple as that. I don't mean any harm. So anyone listening, you're on a different side of the fence to what I see. Um, I don't mean any harm. I don't take it to offence. I just want you to enjoy the show. If you want to interact with me, no problem. I'm not here to discriminate your policy, your party, your political views. I'm here to build a bigger, better establishment. I get days where I'm a bit ruthless. I'm a bit ruthless. You might think I'm a bit narcissistic while I'm sticking up for my side of the fence, but I do see a bigger picture. I like to be, open-minded with people's opinions. Not that you're going to change my opinion, but I like to be open-minded with how we can talk about it because it makes interactive speech and it builds characteristics upon good gentlemen that listen to politics. I don't know all politics. Don't believe me. I don't. I thought I knew Article 51, but as we know, all them boats, land on shore of legal immigrants. I thought would stop controlling population growth. It will be the first time, she said, lead for the opposition at PMQs. Recent clashes between Sir Keir and PM over the government's handling of coronavirus and a succession of policy U-turns have dominated the headlines. Like Sir Keir, Miss Rain has spoken about the need for Labour to be constructive opposition, telling The Guardian, Johnson really hasn't stepped up, and I want him to, because I needed my constituents to feel safe and to be protected. I wanted him to do well. In the same view, she says the PM needs to get up off his backside and lead on racial inequality. MC Rayner, who has been MP of Ashton Underline since 2015, was previously the Shadow Education Secretary. Former Labour leader Ed Miliband stood in for Sir Keir Starmer on Monday in a clash with Mr Johnson over the Internal Markets Bill. A spokesman for Sir Keir said Keir Starmer is still awaiting the test result for a member of his family. He is therefore remaining in self-isolation and will not participate in Prime Minister questions tomorrow. But Angela Rayner, Deputy Leader and Shadow First Secretary of the State, will be taking place. We'll have informed number 10. I think she's looks a bit glum today as Mr Miliband took his place. I think she's expecting to stand in. So I've seen you see comments on these debates and people, totally right off each other's side of family. I take it in small doses, but I do participate to let them know I'm there and show my knowledge. Always give it, no biz like showbiz. Anyone hear about Gary Lineker offering his place up for a refuge? What a lovely gentleman. BBC Star salaries. Gary Lineker takes place cut as Zobel shoots up list. No biz like showbiz. Match of the Day host Gary Lineker has agreed a £4,000 pay cut. The CBBC has revealed as it publishes the latest list of the best paid presenters. Lineker was the highest earning star with an unchanged salary of 1.75 million in the 2019-20 financial year, but he has since signed a new contract, which will see that the fee cut by 23%. I wish I could have someone even quarter of that. I'd be so happy, over the moon. Even if I got 50 grand a year, I'd be so happy. 50 grand a year. That's not even ticking the side of that what he's got. That means he would learn less than Zoe Ball next year. Radio 2 presenter has seen her pay rise by 1 million since overtaking the breakfast show in 2019. I mean, I'm tackling the sociological change, and you see like the percentage of people own their houses. It's very minute, something like 20% out of the whole UK. I'm not even on the market. Doesn't how hard you work in life, whatever direction you choose. When I was an activist trying to be a professional boxer, ruthless situation I've got myself involved in because I've got nothing. I've got I've got intelligence as be aware, but I've got nothing. My main answer is I can't do what a lot of people can do. Winter months I can't work. People that know me know I can't do certain things. Anyway, moving on. Let's not talk about purgatory right now. It's not purgatory, it's present, but there you go. That means he could earn less than Zobel next year. The vote 2% has seen her pay rise 1 million since taking over board breakfast show in 2019. Fiona Bruce and Lauren Laverne have also moved into the top 10 of the highest paid stars, which features four women for the first time. Vanessa Feltz is also among the top earners. Corporation's annual report shows. However, many stars do not appear on the list because the corporation's commercial aim. BBC Studios does not have to publish its talent spend. All 10 of the top earning presenters of this year's list are white, although the BBC's Director General Tim Davie and said 80% of those making more than 150,000 were from black, Asian and minority ethnic BAME backgrounds, up to 12% 4 years ago. We made good progress. If you look across the industry, we're in a good place, but we've got work to do, Mr. Davies said. And while 26.5 of actors and presenters were from the BAME backgrounds, it was a different story behind the camera, with 9.8% of the production staff from ethnic minorities. The report also showed 12.3% of BBC leaders were BAME, below its 15% target for 2020. Linear salary will be published on next year's list. Director General Tim Davie described their former England player as a brilliant broadcaster and said his new 5 year deal was a great example of the best talent and the best value. And before you ask, Gary knows his responsibility to the BBC in terms of his use of social media. Mr. Davey added, returning to social media rules for BBC staff and presenters that are expected to be announced soon. Lineker, a prolific tweeter who weekly discusses political views online, said the BBC recognises that I tweet carefully and will continue to do so, and sent a message to the haters on Twitter. Oh dear, thoughts are with the haters at this difficult time. Stars of some of BBC's biggest programmes, like Top Gear, Doctor Who, are absent from the list because they are made by BBC Studios. Ball's Strictly Comes Dancing spin-off Take Two is produced by a commercial arm, and so is not included, but her pay has risen because this is her first full year since taking over from Chris Evans on Radio 2. Four women in list of top paid presenters: Zoe Ball, Fiona Bruce, Vanessa Feltz, and Lauren Laverne. Last year, top earners included Freeman, Ball, Phelps, Claudia Winkleman. Overall, the BBC total salary bill for an on-air talent in 2019 to 20 rose by 1 million to 144.6 million, while salaries for the BBC's executive committee rose from 4.95 million to 5.41 million. Conservative MP Julian Knight, who chairs the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee, said the overall rise in pay for on-air talent was concerning. He said despite Gary Lineker's pay cut, when millions of pensioners are having to build extra cash to pay for BBC and services they depend on, it's concerning to see not only has the bill on air talent has grown by more than 1 million, but that more than 100 senior executives are paid over 150,000 a year in many cases, considerably more than that. I can't afford a TV last. I can't afford to switch my TV on, but I'm enjoying the aesthetics of life, giving you flux with a show, flux with the news. That's the main thing. Nothing in life will break me. As long as I can produce good quality analysts of news. Facts or fiction, we do know some news is propaganda. It's up to you to decide what are facts and what's conspiracy theory, propaganda. That's down to you. But anyway, the overall gender pay gap of the BBC has fallen from 6.7 to 6.2%. Previous director Tony Hall has pledged to close the gender pay gap by 2020. Mr. Davey has said that was a very aggressive target, adding, "We can be proud of our progress, but we must go further." He said he wanted to increase the number of women across leadership ranks, where the figure currently stands at 45%, short of 50% target. It's about the leaders, not talk but action, he said. There are small number of historic equal pay cases, but to be resolved. Reporters said. The annual report contains plenty of complex messages, but is likely still to lead to simple and negative headlines from the BBC. The list of salaries for on-air broadcasters, which includes me, reflects 3 years of reforms. As part of these reforms, many broadcasts, particularly, but not exclusively men, either took significant pay cuts. Hugh Edwards, Jeremy Vine, etc., or left of the BBC, Chris Evans, John Humphreys, leaving today, Eddie Marr. Now, several broadcasters, particularly not exclusively women, have to pay rises. Crucially, the pay rises for these female broadcasters, Zoe Ball, Fiona Bruce, Lauren Laverne, Emily Maitalis, reflect additional work. The overall rise in pay for those salaries are published. Around 1 million is not, in financial terms, huge, given the number of people to which it pertains. And the salaries himself, indeed, is below inflation, and therefore a cut in real terms. Nevertheless, the optics are bad for BBC. Complexity doesn't cut through in stories about high pay. It's better pay than what I'm getting, put it that way. I reckon they're having lamb shanks for dinner every night, breakfast, lunch, and tea. The simple facts in a time of immense hardship across the country, with so many people redundant or furloughed are suffering. These huge salaries and their modest overall increase will strike many license fees payers as disgraceful. So what I'm thinking about after all this happens, how prices in houses, are we going to get back on the market to be able to buy a house? We all had that vision, didn't we, that we're going to succeed in life. Will I ever get on that table? I'm 37. I'm 37 years of age. I've wasted half my life due to unforeseen circumstances. I'm not going to say on the radio. I've wasted half my life. How much lucky can I get? How am I going to get on the table? Is the house price going to drop? Surely they got surely these mortgages are going to give the right to buy scheme again like they used to before. 'Cause I know for a fact, 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 'cause I The other big story is the BBC finances in the medium term. They are badly strained. It is striking by the end of next year, the BBC will have delivered around 800 million in savings in just 5 years. But the fact that the licence fee didn't rise with inflation between 2010 and 2017, 2017, and before the 124 million hit at least from the coronavirus pandemic are a huge injury to the bottom line of the coming year. And that's before you consider whether a generation who you give so much time to TikTok, YouTube, and WhatsApp for all they need to pay for a TV license. How your £12.88 a month license fee wasn't spent. TV license £6.83. Radio is saying £2.22. Well, sir, I'm not even going to it. What else did BBC annual sport report say? License fee for incoming dropped 170 million to 3.52 billion in 2019-20, partly due to evasion. Overall, the BBC overall income was down to 119 million. There was growth in commercial income from BBC Studios, and the corporation's chairman, Sir David Clementi, said to drive to increase such revenue would be even more pressing because there will be major financial pressures on the BBC in the coming years. Coronavirus pandemic means an organising has faced significant challenges and will have to find extra savings on top of those already planned. The BBC has already saved 618 million since 2016-17, and the figure is expected to rise above 800 million by the end of the current financial year. The report has said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming through, guys. We're still going to keep Flux for the flow, Flux for the show. All systems go. Go. Acceleration coming on. What is it? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Superman. Thank you all, guys. Appreciate you come through. We're coming back to the aristocratic social elite. Here we go, guys. Back to UK politics. Back to UK politics. Coronavirus testing problems to be solved in weeks, says Hancock. Prominent people for prominent readers, listeners on board. The testing system is facing an enormous challenge after a sharp rise in those seeking a COVID-19 test. Health Secretary Matt Hancock has said. When about asked about reports of people struggling to get tested, Mr. Hancock has said it would take a matter of weeks to resolve the issues. He said Number 10 would update its testing policy shortly to prioritise the most urgent cases. These slots have been limited due to the bottlenecks in lab processing of swabs. The rise of demand for tests has led to local shortages, with Labour saying no. Tests were available in various hotspots over the weekend. Hospital bosses have also warned the lack of tests for NHS workers is putting services at risk. People have told the BBC of their frustration at being turned away for the walk in test centres in Oldham and Greater Manchester. A woman attending the walk-in centre said the staff told her that labs were struggling to turn tests around. BBC Health editor Hugh Pym said, there seem to be enough testing sites, but there are bottlenecks in the labs for processing the swabs taken. That's why they're limited for the number of slots for the public, just when people want to get tested. One cabinet minister told BBC political editor Lauren Kuenberg, this was a classic government problem where demand for public service outstrips supply. The minister, she said, was confident that underneath the noise, the majority of people were getting the service they needed when they needed it. On Saturday, Cabinet Minister Michael Gove told the BBC that the government was working to boost testing capacity through investment in new setting centres and so-called lighthouse labs. Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has said she's hopeful that a backlog in test results will resolve shortly after constructive talks with Mr. Hancock. The UK government announced 3,105 new lab confirmed cases on Tuesday, bringing a total number of positive tests to 374,228. Another 27 people have died within 28 days of positive coronavirus tests, bringing the overall death toll to 41,664. Numbers have gradually grown and enlarging. The number of patients in mechanical ventilation beds across the UK has passed 100 for the first time in nearly 2 months. There were 106 patients on ventilation in the UK on Monday. The first time the figure has been over 100 since the 24th of July. 24th of July. UK-wide figures for today are yet to be published, but there were 101 patients on ventilation in England alone on Tuesday. Although 220,000 tests were exposed each day according to the government figures released last week, with a testing capacity of more than 350,000, which includes swab tests and antibody tests. The aim of increase was 500,000 a day by the end of October. Speaking in the House of Commons, Mr Hancock said there were operational challenges with testing and government was working hard to fix it. He said throughout the pandemic they have prioritised testing according to the need. Mr Hancock has said top priority is always has been acute clinical care, followed by social care. The government is sending over 100,000 tests a day due to the virus in care homes. Coronavirus chairman of the Health and Social Care Committee, Jeremy Hunt, was among the MPs to question Mr Hancock and testing, saying a number of his constituents had a travel for tests, while one key worker had to wait a week for her results. A week ago today, the Secretary of State told the Health Select Committee they expected to have the problem solved in weeks. Mr Hunt said it is the Secretary of State, given the efforts that the department is making, still confident that in a week's time we'll have this problem solved. I think they'll be able to solve this problem in a matter of weeks, Mr Hancock replied. He said the demand is high, but the core capacity is being delivered, with plans to ensure tests are prioritised for that we need them most. Despite Health Secretary promises, there will be no easy solution to the shortage of tests. There are expectations that cases will go up. People are circulating more, society reopens, and when entering the period, and respiratory virtues thrive. I mean, who are these people in need? The people that are working, surely. People that need to keep going back working, because you've got people that, they need first. Because the people that are going into society with coronavirus could be given the workers, and everyone gets it. As the cases go up, so will demand on testing systems. Even with the promise of more testing capacity in the coming weeks, the chance of shortages continue remains a distinct possibility. A new lab is due to open later this month, which enables to carry out 50,000 tests a day, but this could be easily swallowed up, which means it is that testing will have to be prioritised where it is needed most. That will be in care homes, hospitals, and among key workers, as well as where local outbreaks. The government, but this is not unique to the UK. Other countries are facing similar pressures. Fact, was on full flare, guys, and I think, oh yeah, the chance of shortage continue remains a distinct possibility. A new lab is due to open later this month, which will be able to carry out 50,000 tests a day, but this could be easily swallowed up, which means it is that testing will have prioritised where it is needed most. That will be in care homes, hospitals, and among key workers, as well as where there are local outbreaks. The government surveillance programme run by the Office of National Statistics will also be prosecuted, but this is not unique to the UK. Other countries are facing similar pressures. In fact, the UK is testing more per head of population in Spain, France, and Germany. It promises to be difficult winter across Europe. The enormous change, the enormous challenge. Labour's Shadow Health Secretary Joanne Answorth said Mr Hancock was losing control of this virus. He said that after schools and offices reopened, extra demand on systems were inevitable. He questioned why Mr Hancock did not use the summer to significantly expand the NHS lab capacity and fix contact tracing. Responding, Mr Hancock said it was inevitable. The demand would rise with a free service, adding the challenge was to ensure tests are prioritised for those who most needed them. Thank you guys. Still, if the EU goes through, we're all up to date with that. We're up to date with everything. Um, as you know, things all talks are again up in the air in Parliament. We don't know quite which way is what. I don't quite understand. I had the full understanding of Brexit at the start from the beginning. Still got Article 51 in my drawer. Hard border. The trading were going to be amended, but the trading I wasn't 100% how they're going. Obviously, I knew stopping the fisheries is our seas, our fish, putting the border up like that. But the trading of everything else, I don't know. How does that work? We've got Chinese restaurants, Indian restaurants. What happens then? We're using English produce. Is it still possible to go ahead? I don't know. I don't know ins and outs of anything. But there you go. Brexit Internal Market Bill clears first hurdle on Commons. I know it's not a fascist decree, if you know what I mean. It's more of a population thing. And for how to keep, I don't know. I don't want to get into too much. I don't quite know the full ins and outs. I don't think anyone's, even a lot of politicians, ain't properly clued up on the international treaty and the WTO. I don't think everyone knows what's going on. If I'm quite honest, I've seen so many political arguments. People go, "Oh yes, they're going with it. If they're not going with the EU now, we're going with the WTO." I don't know what they stand for. What's going to happen if you go with it? I don't know. Something to do with Japan or whatever. I don't know quite what's going to happen. Japan might have just signed it and they're going to throw it out anyway because I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? So it propels and kicks off. By the sound of it, that's what's going to happen. Japan are going to sign it and they're probably not backing out anyway. Apparently, we don't know the facts to what happened. A proposed law giving Boris Johnson's government the power to override parts of the Brexit agreement with the EU has passed its first hurdle in the Commons. MPs backed the internal market bill by 340 votes to 263. 263. So this, he won his first hurdle. Ministers say it contains vital safeguards to protect Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK if negotiations on a future trade deal break down. But critics, including a number of Tory MPs, want its risk in damaging the UK by breaching international law. Two Tory MPs voted against the bill on Monday night, Sir Roger Gow and Andrew Percy, while a further abstained, although some of those may not have been for political reasons. Although the government has a majority of 80 in the Commons, it is braced for further rebellions in the coming weeks as the legislation receives detailed scrutiny. Several prominent Conservatives, including former Chancellor Sajid Javid, who, who appeared to abstain on Monday, he said they could not support the final bill unless it is amended. Home Secretary Priti Patel instead it put safeguards and mechanisms in place to ensure we stay true to the people of Northern Ireland. This is what I was getting at on my obviously you guys don't follow my social media, don't follow my debates. We need to keep intact with Northern Ireland. I thought Boris did try to, after he took over Theresa May, he was trying to implement that from the beginning. I remember. I know he's pretty thingy with the Irish. I wouldn't know, with sport, how would Five Nations have gone through without Northern Ireland? Would it still happen? I don't know. I don't know, but I know some extent, but I don't know when it comes to sport, all the things was in, we have Europe Cup, World Cup, as all that going to stand with all this the political bills going on? Is that going to affect it? Who knows? I don't think so, but who knows? Straight dealing, Sir Roger Gow for the Tory MP of North Thanet in Kent told BBC Newsnight had voted against the bill as a matter of principle to uphold international law. I think there's so much money in football and sport, I don't think it would stop it, to be honest. Yeah. Thinking at a bigger, brighter picture, economics in all countries is a big, big thing, and so is triumphant in their country, and they get distribution through sponsors. So I don't think that'd ever come out. It will come out in the wash, and I think I just got it out in the wash. There you go. There's your answer. Thank you very much, guys. I think that's a damage on our international reputation, to be honest, and straight dealing at a time when we are about to embark on a series of trade negotiations. I took a view that you fight this tooth and nail at every step. I mean, when you get in a political debate, you start to think you're falling out of everyone, don't you? I mean, my goodness. He suggested other colleagues were holding the fire until later in the bill's passage, with a group led by ex-minister Sir Bob Neill pressing for a parliamentary lock on the government's ability to exercise the powers. I'm not remotely surprised that I'm a tiny minority. I think that may change next Tuesday, he added. Writing in from the Daily Telegraph, former Conservative leader Lord Hague also warned against breaching international law, said it would be a serious foreign policy error. It would be a lasting and damaging effect on the international reputation and standing, diminishing our ability to exert our influence and protect our interests. Miss Patel, she was told BBC Radio 4 today's programme on the government was still working closely with the EU to settle on our future relationship. But she defended the bill, saying it stood for the party's manifesto commitments from the 2019 election to ensure peace, security and good governance for the whole of the United Kingdom. Bills remit still remaining. No, sorry, bills remit. The bill is designed to enable goods and services to flow freely across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland when the UK leaves the EU's single market and customs union on January 1st. So the UK is leaving the EU's single market and customs union on the 1st of January. But controversy it gives government the power to change aspects of the EU withdrawal agreement. A legally binding deal governed the terms of the UK's exit from the EU early this year. Meanwhile, says this is a fail-safe mechanism in the case the EU interprets the agreement into particularly the Northern Ireland Protocol designed to avoid a hard border on the island of Ireland in an extreme and unreasonable way. Still, like, piddly pook, isn't it? If you know what I'm saying. It's an answer, but not quite the answer I was looking for. Boris Johnson's government has a hefty majority. It's never been going to lose Monday night's vote in the Commons. Downing Street calculates most of the public won't pay much attention, yet more Westminster argy-bargy about the Brexit process. In turn, many Tory MPs will sure that the wrangling over the UK internal market bill won't filter through their constituents. So it sounds like we're getting what we almost asked for to, in a bit of a knickers of a twist kind of way, if that makes sense. And where it does, they were much likely to take the side of the government, taking a tough line with an EU, then share the concerns of former Prime Ministers of August lawyers foaming about the government's behaviour. And yet, first off, to state the obvious, opposition from former occupants of Number 10, former chancellors and former cabinet ministers is not exactly a sign of peace and harmony. But the resistance to a Number 10 goes beyond the usual suspects this time. Almost coming to the end, ladies and gents. It's been an amazing evening, amazing event. I'm just glad to bring you what we've all been waiting for. This has been this has been debate still going on. This is the one of the main uh, one of the main things. We've got PMQs tomorrow. That's going to be amazing. During a 5-hour debate, Mr. Johnson claimed the EU's current approach could load to excessive checks and even tariffs on goods moving from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. He said the bill would ensure the UK's economic and political integrity, accusing the EU of making unfair demands to exert leverage in trade talks, including threat of block to block food exports. We want imports, we don't exports. To keep our food to ourselves. Now I'm being greedy. But ministers also said they would listen to concerns, insisting the powers been sought would only be used if legal avenues have been exhausted and only if MPs explicitly voted to activate them. A government spokesman said it is vital the bill, which is expected to face stern opposition in the House of Lords, becomes law by the end of the year, when EU law will cease to have effect in the UK. It will protect the territorial integrity of the UK and the peace and alliance, safeguarding trade and jobs across all four corners of the UK following the end of the transition period, he said. The PM has also held a call to Conservative members of the House of Lords on Monday night. Labour said the PM was managing on a deal himself signed earlier this year and on which Conservative MP campaigned on 2019 election and was trashing the UK's reputation. But the Commons also voted against Labour amendment to reject the bill entirely by 349 votes to 213. MPs will now begin to derail scrutiny of the bill Tuesday, with Conservative MPs seeking further assurance that UK won't betray its treaty obligations. Hope you guys are really enjoying the show. I need to get a call in. I've got two phones. I should give you a call in number, interact a bit more. Um, oh, thank you, Tony. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Calvin, yes, thank you very much. Enjoy this cast. Everyone come through. Thank you for participating. If you've got any questions, please give me some questions far away. I try not to discriminate the show, trying to keep it, we all got a bit of knowledge about politics, some more than others. Don't discriminate to, you know, put the show down. It's nice to talk with everyone. I'm on Castbox as well, live. I appreciate everyone coming through. Obviously, my academic integrity is history and politics, philosophy as well. Um, Fire away some questions. If you've got anything to ask, no problem. I can try and get a call in number. Like I said, I'm on Castbox. You can call in, but the same as YouTube, you can't call in. Unfortunately, I can't talk to you through YouTube. Maybe I get a call in. I've got my extra mobile actually, which you could call in future. But I'd have to put a number up, which I can now, which I've just acknowledged. Maybe I'll do that in future reference. You guys can call in, interact with the show. But you got when you call through, you got to be mindful. This is my children listening. My kids might see this. My niece, my nephews, my sisters, my brother, mum and dad. It's family orientation. Um, and as you know, you can breach ASBO by being out of tune, out of character. Um, you know, anything you want to ask, family law. You got any questions about anything to do with anything, anything to do with anything. Like law wise, politics wise, anything you want to bring to task. Not to try and tackle my intelligence. Maybe I can help you. Family law, criminal law, anything you want to bring to task. I can always try and help you. But don't just bring a question at me. You don't need to ask because trying to help you. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys coming in. I'm gonna say love you, leave you. You give me some acknowledgement and a bit of encouragement. Whoa, lovely fella, Mr. Freeman. Appreciate you coming through, buddy. I just ending the show. Just had an hour cast. It's the prodigious, the prominent professor at Proclamation News and Gavins. Thank you. God bless. Take care. Back tomorrow, guys. Make sure you subscribe, and then you'll find out when I go live tomorrow. If you subscribe, you see when I go live again. Thank you, and I'll get a call in. I'll give you my number tomorrow. Call in. Thank you. God bless. Take care.